Developments in South suburban Dalton today. First, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial reports.
Coming in, I mean, unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. So, but like I said, yeah, just.
Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor of Dalton, Illinois, is once again making headlines, and this time, the scandal is even more explosive. Rumors are swirling about a shocking new development in the ongoing drama between Henyard and her former assistant-turned-whistleblower, Carmen Carlo. This latest twist is full of betrayal, corruption, and even an alleged attempted murder. Could Mayor Henyard really have hired gang members to silence the one person who knows all of her secrets? It sounds like something straight out of a movie, but this is Dalton, and in this small Illinois town, anything seems possible. Let's dig deeper into this unfolding drama and uncover what's really happening behind the scenes.
Who has investigated Henyard's use of a police security detail, taking officers off the street and costing thousands.
Who exactly is Carmen Carlisle, and why has her name suddenly become the talk of Dalton? Carmen wasn't always the whistleblower shaking up local politics. Once a loyal confidant and trusted assistant to Mayor Tiffany Henyard, she had a front-row seat to some of the mayor's most sensitive dealings. For a time, Carmen seemed content within Henyard's inner circle, enjoying the perks of proximity to power, and, as some allege, benefiting from questionable schemes involving the misuse of city funds for personal gain. She was seen as a key ally, privy to the secrets of an administration under increasing scrutiny, but everything changed when Carmen made a stunning about-face. Rather than going down with the ship, she chose to expose her former boss. Many interpret this as an act of self-preservation rather than altruism. Carmen's decision to turn on Henyard brought to light a trove of damaging information that has sent shockwaves through Dalton, revealing allegations of financial misconduct and leadership riddled with impropriety. Critics are divided. Some view Carmen as a hero standing up for accountability, while others see her as an opportunist who only spoke up when it served her interests. Regardless of her motivations, Carmen's actions have escalated the drama surrounding Henyard's administration, bringing new controversies to the forefront of Dalton's political discourse.
Appointment. That's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next.
Who is Carmen Carlisle, and why has her name suddenly become the talk of Dalton? Carmen wasn't always the whistleblower shaking up local politics. Once a loyal confidant and trusted assistant to Mayor Tiffany Henyard, she had a front-row seat to some of the mayor's most sensitive dealings. For a time, Carmen appeared content within Henyard's inner circle, enjoying the perks of proximity to power, and, as some allege, benefiting from questionable schemes involving the misuse of city funds for personal gain. She was seen as a key ally, privy to the secrets of an administration already under increasing scrutiny, but everything changed recently when Carmen made a stunning about-face. Rather than going down with the ship, she chose to expose her former boss. Many interpret this as self-preservation rather than altruism. Carmen turned on Henyard, bringing to light a trove of damaging information that has sent shockwaves through Dalton. Her revelations have painted a damning picture of alleged financial misconduct and a leadership style riddled with impropriety, further complicating Henyard's already embattled reputation. Critics are divided. Some view Carmen as a hero standing up for accountability, while others see her as an opportunist who only spoke up when it served her interests. Regardless of her motivations, Carmen's decision to turn on her former ally has escalated the drama surrounding Henyard's administration, bringing new questions and controversies to the forefront of Dalton's political discourse.
Body, is this a reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what.
Let's take a step back and examine why Tiffany Henyard might be so desperate to silence Carmen Carlisle. Henyard has been under intense scrutiny for some time now, facing mounting allegations of corruption and the misuse of taxpayer money. These accusations have painted a troubling picture of financial mismanagement and personal indulgence at the expense of the town's resources. Among the most eye-catching claims is a revelation that Henyard allegedly spent a staggering $33,000 in a single day on Amazon, an amount that has left many residents questioning how such lavish spending could be justified in a town already struggling with financial challenges. However, this Amazon spree is just the tip of the iceberg. Henyard has also been accused of racking up questionable charges on the town's credit cards, including high-end purchases from well-known retailers like Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair. These transactions, which many believe have no legitimate connection to the needs of Dalton's residents, only add to the growing suspicion that Henyard may have been using public funds for personal gain. The lack of transparency and oversight surrounding these expenses has only fueled the outrage of residents, who are left wondering how their hard-earned tax dollars are being misused. As these allegations continue to pile up, Henyard's credibility has taken a severe hit, leaving her desperate to maintain control and avoid any consequences. This is where Carmen Carlisle's decision to blow the whistle becomes so significant. As someone who once had access to the inner workings of Henyard's administration, Carlisle holds key information that could expose the full extent of the mayor's alleged misconduct. For Henyard, the threat posed by Carlisle's cooperation with federal investigators is existential. If Carlisle's testimony becomes public, it could be the final nail in the coffin of her already faltering political career. Henyard's panic and attempts to silence Carlisle are therefore rooted in the fear that the whistleblower's revelations could push Dalton's financial scandals into the national spotlight. This would not only tarnish her political career, but could lead to legal consequences that might include prison time. The desperation to protect herself from these devastating revelations could explain why Henyard might go to extreme lengths to stop Carlisle, whether that means resorting to violence or intimidation. As the investigation continues to unfold, it becomes increasingly clear that Henyard's attempts to cover up her actions are driven by a desire to protect her own interests at all costs, regardless of the damage it may cause to the town or its residents.
Make a one day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon. And the main thing is,
under Tiffany Henyard's leadership, Dalton's finances have taken a catastrophic dive, going from a healthy surplus of $5.61 million to a staggering deficit of $3.65 million. Her actions have not only bankrupted the town, but have also made life increasingly difficult for its residents, who are now demanding answers and accountability. Henyard's handling of the town's resources has raised questions about how taxpayer dollars have been squandered, with no clear benefits to the community. Amid this financial crisis, Henyard, who often touts herself as the super mayor and people's supervisor, now faces an even greater threat. Carmen Carlisle, her former ally, who is testifying against her. So, what is it about Carmen's testimony that has Henyard so rattled? For one, Carmen knows where all the figurative bodies are buried. She was by Henyard's side, witnessing and even participating in the very crimes she now accuses her former boss of orchestrating. Carmen's inside knowledge makes her an incredibly dangerous adversary, with the potential to bring down Henyard's entire political empire. Henyard's frustration goes beyond the fear of losing her position. It's the very real threat of facing legal consequences if Carmen's evidence proves solid. If Carmen's testimony holds up, Henyard could be facing serious criminal charges and potentially significant jail time, further compounding the pressure on her already fragile administration. But it's not just Carmen's betrayal that has Henyard on edge. She is also facing a growing list of adversaries eager to see her removed from office. Among them is Lori Lightfoot, the former mayor of Chicago, who was recently hired to conduct a special investigation into Henyard's questionable spending practices. Despite Henyard's desperate attempts to block the investigation, calling it an unconstitutional infringement on the powers of the office of mayor, the town board overrode her objections, and Lightfoot is moving forward with the probe. This investigation, coupled with Carmen's bombshell testimony, has put Henyard in a precarious position, with the possibility of both political and legal ruin looming large. As the walls close in around her, Henyard's desperation to maintain control grows more apparent, but her efforts to suppress the truth seem to be unraveling faster than she can manage. The stakes have never been higher, and Dalton's future now hangs in the balance as Henyard fights for her political survival against a growing tide of opposition.
It's shameful. Y'all are great.
We're watching the fall of this administration.
The findings so far are damning. Not only is Dalton's budget in disarray, but there are also numerous unexplained expenses that suggest large-scale misuse of funds. What makes the situation even more unbelievable is how Tiffany Henyard seems to operate with impunity. Despite the growing list of allegations against her, she continues to wield significant power in Dalton, largely untouched by the consequences of her actions. Some claim she has built a fortress of loyalty around herself, using a combination of patronage and intimidation to keep her allies close and her enemies at bay. But how is she able to maintain such control in a town flooded with both local police and federal investigators? One theory that has gained traction is that Henyard may have ties to the local criminal underworld. This rumor has gained even more weight following the alleged attack on Carmen Carlisle, Henyard's former ally turned whistleblower. After all, if Henyard is willing to misuse taxpayer funds for extravagant shopping sprees and luxury trips, what would stop her from resorting to even more drastic measures to protect herself and her position the possibility that she could be using local gangs to carry out her dirty work, especially in silencing those who threaten her power, has become a chilling consideration for many. While speculative, this theory isn't entirely far-fetched, given the pattern of questionable spending, Henyard's apparent lack of accountability, and the escalating violence surrounding her administration. The continued reports of her ability to sidestep legal and political repercussions have fueled suspicions that her control over Dalton may go beyond political maneuvering. It could be deeply entangled with criminal elements lurking beneath the surface. As federal investigators and residents piece together the extent of her alleged wrongdoing, Henyard's power, and the lengths she may go to preserve it, become increasingly uncertain, with the threat of further revelations looming just around the corner.
Debt, and that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor.
Henyard has already been linked to criminal elements, having been jailed for criminal trespassing to automobiles back in 2016. Past cases suggest she is not afraid to use force to get what she wants. If the rumors are accurate, this paints a terrifying picture of a mayor willing to do whatever it takes to cling to power, even resorting to violence. The residents of Dalton are paying the price for her actions. Some have even suggested that Henyard may have plotted an attack on a rival politician who dared to publicly criticize her. Looking at the broader context, Dalton, once a relatively affluent town, is now burdened with significant debt and a growing populace that is increasingly disillusioned due to Henyard's suspected corruption and mismanagement. The ongoing FBI investigation is uncovering much more than financial mismanagement. It's revealing a pattern of misuse in which public funds were allegedly diverted for private indulgences. Reports suggest Henyard has been using taxpayer money to maintain a lavish lifestyle, covering expenses like first-class flights, five-star hotel stays, and even a personal security detail, rivaling that of a major celebrity. This behavior comes as a sharp contrast to her public stance. Residents have become frustrated with her lavish spending, particularly when they see no tangible benefit from the trips and expenditures. As one resident pointed out during a recent town meeting, you're not accountable. You don't respect people who don't agree with you, and you're not qualified for that seat. These strong words reflect the growing sentiment among Dalton residents, many of whom believe Henyard's days in office are numbered. Calls for her resignation are intensifying, and many believe it's only a matter of time before she is removed, either through legal action or the will of the people. The tension in Dalton is palpable. The residents have had enough of Henyard's antics and are demanding justice. There is talk of protests, petitions, and even a recall election. People want their town back and are no longer willing to let a so-called super mayor run roughshod over the community. This sense of urgency has been further amplified by the ongoing investigations, which seem to expose new allegations on an almost daily basis. Federal investigators, state prosecutors, and even the Illinois Attorney General are all turning their attention to Dalton, signaling that Henyard's unchecked power is quickly coming to an end. Despite this growing pressure, Henyard remains defiant. She has made it clear that she has no intention of stepping down, even as the walls close in around her. She continues to deny all allegations, calling them baseless attacks from political enemies and disgruntled former employees. However, the mounting evidence is making it increasingly difficult for her to dismiss the claims. The dramatic shift in Carmen Carlisle's position from Henyard's ally to whistleblower has only complicated the mayor's situation further, making it clear that the stakes have never been higher. The investigation into Henyard's actions is widening, with government officials scrutinizing everyone around her. Fans and critics alike have voiced strong opinions about the situation. One viewer pointed out that a whistleblower is someone who comes forward voluntarily, but also someone who might have made a deal with authorities to avoid prosecution by becoming an informant. In this light, the notion of Carmen being a hero is questioned, with some seeing her less as a whistleblower and more as someone who is simply trying to save herself from facing consequences for her own involvement. Another commenter reflected a similar sentiment, suggesting that Carmen did not apologize for her actions, but rather switched sides to avoid being implicated. This perspective underscores the complexity of the situation, which involves not just one corrupt mayor, but a whole network of people who either enabled or turned a blind eye to her actions. The entire governance system in Dalton seems to be on the brink of collapse. As the investigations continue, it is likely that more individuals will be brought down along with Henyard. The situation is far from simple. While some are quick to label Carmen as a true whistleblower, others suggest that her motives are more self-serving. The fact that many former allies are now coming forward with accusations only adds to the complexity, suggesting that Henyard's corruption may have been far-reaching. Whether Carmen's turn as a whistleblower is a genuine act of contrition or simply an attempt to protect herself from prosecution remains to be seen as of now. The people of Dalton are demanding accountability and change. There is a clear sense of anger and frustration among the residents who feel betrayed by their mayor. The financial misuse of public funds, and Henyard's arrogant disregard for her constituents' concerns have left many wondering if the mayor will face the consequences of her actions. In conclusion, the situation in Dalton is rapidly reaching a tipping point. Henyard's alleged criminal activities, combined with the growing public outcry and ongoing investigations, suggest that her time in office is coming to an end. Whether she will be removed by the law or through the will of the people is uncertain. But one thing is clear. The people of Dalton are no longer willing to stand by while their town is run into the ground by an unscrupulous mayor. As for Carmen Carlo, the question remains, is she a genuine whistleblower, or is she merely looking out for herself? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The drama surrounding Dalton is far from over.